Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome to a wacky Wednesday here in No Man's Land. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. And this morning I woke up and I had one of those imprints that you get from your bed. And it looked like one of the like a Mike Tyson tattoo on my face. And if you're watching over on WZZN TV, you see that I'm wearing a very generic getup. It's because if I actually did try and dress myself, I would have been too powerful today. So I made sure that I looked very generic and I wore that standard outfit. But we got a lot of fun things to get into. And it definitely starts with a little bit of SEC recruiting talk with DeArmond from Talkin Ball. But on top of that, we will be covering a little bit of the moves that happened in the NL East. Not from the Braves perspective, but from the Phillies and the Mets perspective. Because if you look at them from afar, you see that these two teams made some moves that might scare some fans of the Atlanta Braves. But, of course, Drew, you guys were talking a little bit about what the Braves were doing and trying to ease the minds of some Braves fans, of course, because they are bringing in two guys that have had experience with the team and have had success with the team.
Yeah, I mean, it was really the only moves they made, and they didn't do anything yesterday. Yeah, we thought they might make another move or two, maybe to get an infielder, as we talked with Bill Shanks about that, an extra bat, or even a starting pitcher, but Garrett Crochet, he wants a new contract, and he wants it now. And then again, as Bill pointed out, there's the tax threshold that the Braves didn't want to pay. And I have always said that probably the hardest thing to find during the trade deadline is quality starting pitching. And unfortunately, the Braves weren't able to snag another starter, but if Max Fried can come back, and Bill made a great point of that, he's had the blister issues in the past and stuff, but okay, if he can come back down the stretch, it's almost like a trade addition. He's a grizzled veteran who's been through playoff runs and things of that nature. If you can get it, and then they finally got some good injury news, because this whole season injury-wise has been an unmitigated disaster.
No doubt.
But Ronaldo Lopez, who they signed in free agency and made a move, it looked like when he had forearm tightness that the way this season's gone, it's probably going to be a Tommy John situation, or at least a shutdown for the rest of the year. Here we go. It's going to be a disaster, because he's been as solid and as consistent as any Brave starter. But then you get the MRI back, and hey, it's not hard. It's not horrendous. He should be back soon. So you finally get a break there. And then we talked about Schallenbach and how Spencer has pitched, and he has pitched really, really well. I mean, his last start was his best one. He seems to be getting better. And so at least you got him coming into his own, because you've been without Strider the entire season for the most part. And Spencer had become basically the ace of the staff, he and Fried. But again, you look like you're getting Max back. You look like you're going to get Lopez back. So, and then Morton has been up and down, but he's another grizzled vet that maybe will stabilize down the stretch, especially when you're trying to get one of those wild card spots. And I don't think it's beyond realm of comprehension for them to get back in the division race, but I still think the thing to focus on is, they're trying to get into the dance and see where it takes you. But certainly, I think getting a Soler back is a nice move. He was huge when he was an MVP of the World Series, hitting the ball over the railroad tracks in Houston back in 21. Luke Jackson, Bill made another great point. Luke would get himself in trouble when he was the closer, and he ain't going to be the closer. We all know that's Iglesias. He was much better in a setup role. He's been through the fire. He was starting to throw the ball better for the Giants, and he's someone, again, that has been a Brave, knows what it's like to be one, and those are the expectations. So it'll just lengthen the bullpen, and you would have, again, I would have rather had a starter, but still, the Braves bullpen's been really good. This is a dude that's given you quality stuff in the past.
Yep.
So I think the moves were probably underrated. It was just a little disappointing because they whetted your appetite the night before when they made these moves right before, right? You know, as you're about to go to sleep, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, they made these two. And at first you saw Solaire, and then you find out later, oh, okay, Luke Jackson's in the trade too. Okay, it's a little bit surprising, but hey, you know, and he drove you to drink a little bit at times. But like Bill pointed out, when he's in a setup role, he's good. So, hey, it's not the end of the world. This is a guy that's contributed before. So, okay, but now it kind of whetted your appetite. What else you going to do? What else you going to do? What else you going to do? Damn it.
And I think that was definitely the most disappointing part of it, and why people kind of overlook it on more of less of a talent perspective, but more of just like, oh, well, we only got 2 guys coming in from this trade deadline. This is where teams are really trying to make that push for the postseason. But on top of all the Braves talk, on top of all of the Alabama, Auburn football talk, we're going to be also talking with Dawson Eiserloh from ESPN Southwest Louisiana. He's going to be talking a little bit of LSU football. Drew, I hope you didn't get him on your show. Did you? Did you get one of the other guys? Okay, I was just making sure. And then on top of that,
we haven't had an LSU segment this week.
Okay,
I mean,
all
so
right.
we're good. Like we had today. I mean, we decided to talk to Vince Ferrara because Tennessee had opened fall camp. We know, Josh Heupel was speaking to the media. Vince has been driving us all crazy because he's actually been taking a little bit of vacation, been back home in Tampa, eating his mother's cooking. And if I know you're Italian, I mean, his mother is like this ace Italian cook, man. And if you go check out at Vince Sports, you'll see all the pictures. It's
I don't know if I want to do that.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know how hungry you are.
I would do it. I'm just saying, it looks incredible.
Even Bandy's checked it out. Yeah.
And just us talking about this is going to get me more hungry. And then at the end of the segment, we will talk about how the NFL and how these coaches are making the first game of the season so hyped up, only to be one of the most excruciating watches of the year. But we got to hop into a little bit of this recruiting news, Drew. Auburn actually, picked up quite a few pieces, and I gotta admit, they must have some crazy stuff going on whenever it's that Big Cat weekend. Are they getting the hologram of Tupac over there, because they're able to pull in some of these recruits like it's nothing?
Nah, I mean, it's been something that's been going on for 16, 17 years now, and we had Jason Caldwell on the show yesterday, and he's been covering them since for 25 years now, and he's an Auburn grad, and he remembers when Big Cat was established. And, it's just it's unreal. That we kind of talked about it too on the show this morning because we had one of our callers, Mark from Spring Hill, call in. Jonas Williams is going to announce his commitment, 6'3", 225. He's a 2026 guy from Frankfort Heights, Illinois. He's going to announce his commitment to either Oregon, LSU, Alabama, or Ohio State. We'll see where Jonas Williams goes, but he's someone that is going to announce his commitment coming up on August 3rd. So August 3rd is going to be kind of an active day because Auburn's probably going to get some more good news with Jared Smith from Thompson High School.
Yeah.
He's a defensive lineman, probably going to be either an edge pass rusher or a D end. He's going to announce his commitment. I think he's going to go to Auburn. South Carolina was thought to be in the lead for a while, but Auburn's turned up the heat, and he transferred last year toward the end of the school year from Spain Park to Thompson. So he's in his first full year at Thompson, but I think he's going to join Antoine Fagans, who I know that's kind of who you were referencing. Antoine Fagans is the latest Auburn commitment.
Yep.
And he's also a teammate of Jared Smith at Thompson. He committed to Auburn, big-time safety. So Auburn's been on just a huge, roll lately, no question about it. And then Georgia lost Jordan Pertalot from Buford. He ended up committing or flipping from Georgia to USC. So nobody's immune from the flipping situation. Georgia has got a top 3 class nationally, But Jaden Pertalot, he kind of seemed like a guy, much like when we talked about it earlier this week about Antonio Coleman flipping 4 times and going from Alabama to Auburn, back to Alabama, back to Auburn. Jaden just didn't seem like he was, as soon as he committed to Georgia, it seemed like he was looking at other schools. So he's committed, he's flipped to USC. And then, as we said, Tennessee got some big news too. They got Darion Smith He's a 2025 DL. He's from Baltimore, Maryland. He committed to the Vols yesterday, so that's big. But Auburn, I will say this: Alabama went on a huge hot streak, and I have not seen a streak like Auburn's had ever, probably, in recruiting. I can't remember. Maybe when Tuberville was there and had it rolling during the Carnell Williams recruitment and things of that nature. But when you look at Auburn's close, they've moved into the top 5 consensus too in recruiting. As they closed out July, since this past Saturday, Auburn has landed 7 guys, and again, I think that's going to grow by this coming Saturday. They've landed, and they flipped 2 from Alabama. We talked about one of them. We just talked about Antonio Coleman, who flipped, and then they flipped Derek Smith, which I thought was huge. And really a month ago they were in the top 20 or so, but now they've risen into the top 5 in recruiting. And then with all the 26 kids they got, and those were in-state kids, they got 3 from Mobile, but they have and it doesn't really matter right now, but it's still something. It is a thing that they have the number 1 class in 2026 very early. And then even Alabama, they got some good news. I know there's been a lot of Tide fans grinding their teeth because Auburn is getting all these guys, and Alabama lost a couple. But Alabama did get, and again, long way to go. He's a 2027 kid. I mean, he's still got much of his high school career still to go. But 6'3", 220-pound linebacker from Moody, Barack Willis, who grew up an Alabama fan, decided to pull the trigger. He was at that cookout, the cold summer cookout this Sunday as one of the younger players there. But he'll probably very likely be an edge rusher. Okay. But Barack Willis from Moody High School plays for Jake Gaines. He committed to the University of Alabama, so he's a 27 kid, pardon me. So he's you don't get too excited because there's so long to go in his recruitment, but certainly a great player, a great young player, and Alabama gets him. But Auburn, again, I don't think they're done. They've already gotten 7 guys, and I think they're going to get one more, at least maybe 2 in the coming days. Definitely 1 on Saturday, but we'll see what happens. They may get another. So that Auburn is continuing to climb up the charts, and Hugh Freeze is doing a great job in state right now, especially in the 2025 class.
No doubt about that. A lot of Auburn fans very happy to see, at least in the state of Alabama, just the amount of recruits that are going to the Tigers. But you look at some of these players and you think about Antonio Coleman, who, he's flip-flopping all over the place. Can you really be 100% comfortable? Can you really sit down and say that this guy is going to be on this team? But the amount of flips that are going to be happening during the season as well as next offseason. He
says he's home now and he's done, but who knows? I mean, in this day and age of recruiting, I've never seen anything like a guy flip 4 times. But I mean, who knows? His dad did go to Auburn. Okay, so he was a really good player, and I think he played at Williamson High School in the Mobile area. So we'll see if Antonio's finally done, but yeah, he's been the king of the flips. I have never seen a kid, and he hadn't even played his senior season, so I've never seen a kid, change directions in recruiting as much as he has. But certainly, you would think he would be.
Well, I've never seen it happen at such a 180 pace. I mean, it's just nonstop back and forth, literally that many times. But
we'll see how we'll check back in like 2 months, see how he's doing.
We'll definitely do that. So maybe during the season there might be a little bit of flippage. But either way, good stuff from you. Drew DeArmond is his name. He's from Talkin the Ball. You guys can catch him from 7 to 9. Presented by Mercury Motors in Alumni Hall. But we got to hop into a break, because when we come back, we're going to be hopping into a little bit of more baseball news, getting to take a look at what is going on in the NL East, and not just the Atlanta Braves, because we all know what's going on with their team, who they added, but with the Phillies and with the Mets.
The Mets made some moves.
The Mets have been making some moves. 7-3 in the last 10 games to the 3-7 that both the Phillies and the Braves have been. So definitely watch out for them. That's what's coming up when we get back here on the Morning Blitz.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
You don't have to go somewhere else just so you can go somewhere new. Plan your next vacation with Huntsville International Airport and Breeze Airways. Enjoy friendly, convenient, nonstop travel to some of the most exciting destinations in the U.S., including the home of iconic casinos, world-class shows, dining, and entertainment. Las Vegas. With flights starting as low as just $79, Breeze has got you covered with easy, breezy, nonstop flights to Las Vegas. Book nonstop to Las Vegas now at flybreeze.com.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible across the Tennessee Valley through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. The big story, the fact that it's just going to be incredibly hot across the area. Air temperatures are going to climb into the mid-90s, but it is going to feel like it is anywhere between 105 and 109 degrees. We only drop into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight. We're going to do this again as we head into your Thursday. A partly sunny sky, temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN Zone.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's perfect!
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text STREAK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text STREAK to 321-321. That's STREAK to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Hello, welcome back in to the Morning Blitz. Bandiman, Lowery, next to John Abraham, Captain Cool. Let's try to get back. Probably yesterday and played a little bit too long, and Bandy decided to go after a skeleton ship and nearly get us sunk.
It was a good idea at the time.
We have a lot of fun outside of work. I just want to let you guys know that. Either way, you guys are able to hop into the show. 256-5764
97.7
is the number to get in. And if you guys want to watch the show, you can go over to our YouTube page, WZZN-TV, for more than just sports talk. You get to see me, you get to see the Bandiman, you get to see the whole crew. And honestly, Bandy, I'm sorry that I called my outfit basic because I see you're wearing practically the exact same shirt, except for it's a little bit off-white, and it's a Hurley. Is that Hurley brand?
I believe so, yeah.
Something like
Maybe.
that. Yeah, either way. Speaking of hurling, in the Olympics, we got to see the triathlon. A bunch of swimmers jumping into poopy water and then swimming through that. And you know what? All they had to say was it didn't taste good. I don't know how we allowed it, even after the tests, even after cleaning it for like, what was it, 1-point-something billion dollars.
They got to do it again, probably.
Oh my gosh! And then it rained and it ruined everything, and then they had to push back the whole thing. I mean, why is that a good idea? Maybe just like instead of cleaning the water, how about we just make a humongous pool, a very big pool that the guys can just swim in? All right,
Might cost less to
it
do that.
probably would cost less E. coli, less poopy water, and a little bit more fun, maybe a little bit more viewership for the Olympics. Probably not. I'm not going to talk about it any longer. Either way, I want to get into a little bit of baseball talk, and I know yesterday was a little bit of a goofy little segment, but I did a little bit of research. I looked into some of these players. We know a little bit more about what these teams are going to be throwing at the Braves, at least going into the end of the season. The Mets making some big moves, and the Phillies just continuously adding on to their team. Not anything huge, but something that'll help them get to the postseason and, of course, do what they do and possibly get to the World Series. Let's hope not, because we, of course, want the Braves to be reserved for that spot. Either way, we can hop into the fold lines. Bandy, who do we got?
We got Natty Dan on the hotline. What's going on, Natty Dan?
Oh, yeah, I love that. I love the way that sounds. And it's not long from now that they'll crown a new national championship. It's rough for everybody when we go back to back this year. Anyway,
what do we do if they go back to back? Okay, which
that'd be very, very tough to do.
I got a guy named Orgy as the quarterback. What do we call you then? Natty Dan too?
Pretty simple. We'll say the same thing with a stutter.
Oh,
Natty Dan.
You go Natty Danny.
No, Natty Dan.
Bandy was already doing that.
Hey, listen. I'm excited. I know people don't watch pro. I watch pro. I watch football here. I love football. I just do.
Heck yeah.
I'm not crazy about the prima donnas in the pro, but you know what? There's still some good stories there. It's not a total loss. But tomorrow is actually today's the eve of tomorrow. I believe opening football. I think it's
yes, sir.
Chicago and Houston, right?
Yes, sir. We get to see none of the starters play, which is kind of upsetting. But at the same time, football's football, baby. And if the NFL comes back, that's whenever it's charcuterie board season, and it's a wonderful time to be alive.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to go to the other room because Mama likes the Olympics. So if I have to do that for a couple of weeks, I could do it, not a problem.
Yeah.
But I love the when Tom, your dad, and everything says, well, Green Bay's going to win the division. They were 8-8 last year. Come on, give me a break.
Well, he's also skeptical of Jordan Love, so you can also say.
No love. There's no love for love. Trust me. There'll be hate. It'll be Jordan Love hate is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen. Bottom line is that we beefed up our defensive backfield, which was sort of a weak point. So I hope. Listen, from now until whenever they get it, I got to put some cash on my boys every year.
I go all in. I'm honestly right there with you. With the NFC North, the way that it is, Jordan Love, yes, he got paid a lot of money. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in history. But at the same time, you look at what he's done. What was he, 9-9 last season, 8-8 or something like that at the end of it all?
8-8.
And you look at what he did, and yes, he had a good final stretch to the season, but it's still 1 year. And we've seen it plenty of times before. Even Rex Grossman can have something said about him if we just go off of 1 year.
Yeah, well, again, I like the where we finished last year.
Yeah.
Very competitive, and then beefing up our defense. So I think it holds well, gentlemen. I'm excited. It's just great to have football back, guys. There's a lot of background crap going on and everything. in this world. And man, you filter it out with that pig skin, and you know what? Everything is honky dory.
I totally agree with you. Good stuff, Natty Dan.
Oh, cool, bro. All right.
I'm with him on the Lions, by the way. I do honestly think that they're the best team in that division. And I agree with him what he said. I mean, whenever football season comes back, it does feel like everything's kind of, background. I like that. Whereas with the Olympics, we talk about it. Oh, there are going to be problems. Oh, we're going to be complaining about it for, weeks until it's over. And then we're going to look at it and be like, well, who won? The USA. Either way,
we're leading the medal count, baby.
It's just not the same as football season. You don't forget everything else. With the football season, you forget everything, and you just enjoy the games. You enjoy the charcuterie boards that your wife makes you.
You're really all in on these charcuterie boards.
Dude, last year was the first time I was just like, okay, charcuterie board, and then I was just like, what the heck have I been doing all my life? Charcuterie board every single weekend. It's just like something you can look forward to all the time. But yeah, no, I think the Lions are going to do really good. But on the other hand, I don't speak.
I do good.
I do think the Mets have actually found themselves some pretty stellar players, and I hate to say this because I don't like the Mets. I will say that. But as of late, 57-50, right behind the Braves. On top of that, they've been having the best luck, I would say, in the last 10 games stretch compared to any other team in the NL East. And on top of that, when it comes to what they were able to do in the trade deadline, they were able to add on a lot of good pieces, some of them earlier than others. And I can run down them right now. I'm going to go down it. 34-year-old Marlins right-handed pitcher, Huskar Buzabun.
Yeah, now it's your turn.
Oops. That one I actually practiced before the show. Totally went out of my mind as soon as I started. Through 20 appearances, he had 34 strikeouts, and he had a 2.94 ERA, and now he's going to the Mets. What do you get out of him? It's a pretty talented pitcher who has found quite the stride, I'd say, late in his career. On top of that, they added another right-handed pitcher in the 31-year-old former Rays, Phil Maton. Okay, he's coming over to the Mets. He actually came over to the Mets over on July 9th, and whenever he was on the freaking the Rays team, he was throwing a 4.58 ERA. No, it was all right. It was okay through 40 appearances. Since he has joined the Mets, he's been on a 150 ERA through 7 appearances. Very stellar stuff. Thank you, Natty Dan, for getting in this show and totally, pushing away the baseball talk. I'm just kidding. The Mets added quite a few pieces, though. And on top of that, the Phillies also added a few guys. Bandy, I know we got to hop into a break. I wanted to finish my baseball talk. The people don't get a lot of it. They could look forward to the Tom Abraham show for that.
We got to talk some Tigers.
Got to talk some LSU Tigers. When we come back, that is exactly what we're going to be doing. Dawson Eiserloh from ESPN Southwest Louisiana is joining us. Talk a little bit of LSU and what Brian Kelly's cooking up over there in the Bayou here on the Morning Blitz. It's the Bayou, is it?
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
Hey, Huntsville. Looking for action-packed events? The Huntsville Sports Commission is your hub for all things sports. From youth events to national tournaments, we've got events that thrill and inspire. Whether you're an athlete, a fan, or a volunteer, there's something for everyone. Cheer on your favorite teams, witness amazing talent, and be a part of the excitement. Check out our event calendar and get involved at huntsvillesports.com. That's huntsvillesports.com. Be there, Huntsville.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens and fireplaces. Eagle also offers the finest craftsmanship and insulation, including fiberglass or spray foam insulation, and of course, insulation removal. Philip Love and his team have years of experience, bringing the region the best in masonry and insulation services. For more information and a quote, visit insulatewitheagle.com or call 256-755-1556. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. When you call most roofing companies, all you'll hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming. At Fleming Roofing and Restoration, we're focused on your needs, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement. Folks around here have trusted Fleming since 1965 for all their residential and commercial roofing needs. And as the area's storm damage experts, Fleming knows all the ins and outs of the insurance claims process. Log on FlemingHSV.com to schedule your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible across the Tennessee Valley through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. The big story, the fact that it's just going to be incredibly hot across the area. Air temperatures are going to climb into the mid-90s, but it is going to feel like it is anywhere between 105 and 109 degrees. We only drop into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight. We're going to do this again as we head into your Thursday. A partly sunny sky, temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dorton Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN Zone.
College football.
The ball is caught. It is a touchdown.
Major League Baseball.
That ball is gone. A home run.
This is your place for complete sports coverage all year long. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Baseball talk, but just know the Mets and the Phillies added on some pretty powerful pieces to help them out at the end of the season. The Braves, on the other hand, hoping that they will have their injury reserved coming back into the club just to finish out the season and possibly go even farther. I'm wondering if there's a question out there. Did the Braves want to go all in this year with all that's gone wrong? I would say possibly. There's a big question for that. But either way, we got to hop into some college football talk, and I cannot wait to get into the conversation we have on deck with one Mr. Dawson Eiserloh from ESPN Southwest Louisiana, and he is joining us for the very first time. Dawson, it's great to have you on. How are you doing, brother?
Oh, doing well, man. Excited to talk some football. We're getting closer, man. Closer than we think, really.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we do have preseason football tomorrow, so that's pretty amazing.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
It's wonderful. I honestly, like, just a few weeks ago, I was thinking about how slow the offseason has been going by, but at the end of the day, you think about it now, and you're just like, wow, that really zoomed by, and it was very entertaining. It was wonderful stuff this offseason. But let's hop right into it. You get some new stars on this team, but you have the same head coach. But on top of that, you look at what else this coach has brought in his entire staff. Kind of just hop into that right off the bat. I mean, what are we looking at with this team? How has it been kind of remade, at least from the ground up on the coaching perspective?
Yeah, well, and it was interesting too, because after the way last year played out, LSU had some tough losses down the stretch where, defensively they just really struggled. I mean, even you look at some of the games there, obviously the reason they lost to Bama was largely because of the defensive struggles. They gave up a ton of points to Florida, even though they won that game, A&M as well. And so it was clear that some changes had to be made, at least we thought. But then they kind of flirted around with this idea that there weren't going to be all that many changes made. Everybody was just waiting and waiting. And finally, Brian Kelly goes ahead and makes the move, and they bring in a new defensive staff, and that's led by Blake Baker, who was at Missouri, who was doing some really good things. And so that was kind of the beginning of it. And yeah, as you mentioned, they made a lot of other moves. They brought back Corey Raymond to try and help out with the defensive back, somebody who had been very familiar with the program, and that was a popular move by fans. But, all in all, the idea here was to try and revamp the defensive side of the football while trying to keep some of that momentum they had. Obviously, they had the Heisman Trophy winner on offense. So it's been an interesting balance of trying to rebuild one side, but trying to keep the momentum on the other. And they're hoping that they've done enough as we head into the fall.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I like the pickup of Blake Baker. I've honestly liked this Mizzou team as well, just what they were able to start cooking up over there. But you're bringing in a guy, Blake Baker. He has experience with this LSU squad as well. I believe back in, 2021, he was a part of this staff. But, we look at that, offensive side of the ball now, and we see those changes, and they're very apparent. It's the thing that a lot of people are looking at. Of course, you don't have Jaden Daniels. You lose Malik Neighbors. Brian Thompson is gone as well. What are we looking at now? We have Garrett Nussmeier. What does he add to this team that we might not have seen with Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, it's funny, too, and I spent a lot of time talking to this with people at media days. Like, Garrett Nussmeier could not be more different in some ways than Jaden Daniels. That's the funny thing. So Jaden, his first year at LSU, the big kind of knock on him was that he wasn't taking shots down the field. He was a little tentative. He didn't want to throw any interceptions, but because of that, he maybe wasn't as aggressive as he should have been. Nussmeier, from everything we know about him and the limited action we've seen, is quite the gunslinger. I mean, he will put it. He's going to get himself into trouble because he's going to take a couple of shots that he probably shouldn't take. But arm talent-wise, I mean, just has every throw in the bag. You know, not quite, obviously not nearly as athletic as Jaden Daniels is. Could still move out of the pocket, though, and probably pick up some hidden rushing yards for you. But all in all, again, just a very different player who they're hoping steps into this system that, look, is a pretty quarterback-friendly system, and they've had a lot of success with Joe Sloan, their offensive coordinator. So very different at the quarterback position, but their hope is that the results are pretty similar.
Definitely not going to see 1,000 yards rushing from this quarterback. But, hey, you also brought in a guy from a Vanderbilt team that was throwing the ball heavily, A.J. Swan. Kind of just talk about the depth that he kind of brings to this team as well.
Yeah, and, you know, the interesting thing, when that transfer was announced, there was, some people who kind of thought, man, is this going to come in to be a quarterback battle? I mean, A.J. Swan has some SEC starting experience, but that was pretty quickly shut down. It was he's brought in to be a depth piece, which, look, for A.J. Swan, I guess it's a little surprising, but maybe at this point in his career, he just felt like he wanted to go and kind of have some stability, go into a better program. But it's Nuss's team, and there's no real doubt about that. He represented the team at media days. I mean, there really is no controversy there. But yeah, it's really nice to know if you have an injury at the position, you're going to be fine, or at least you're going to have some experience. So all in all, I think LSU fans, the hope is that A.J. Swan doesn't see the field this year. But if he does, there's a little bit more confidence there than they've had in recent years with the backup situation. Outside of course, Nussmeier, who's been the backup for a pretty long time and had some stability there for him as well.
Dawson Eiserloh with us from ESPN Southwest Louisiana. And I've been kind of taking that confidence into the schedule talk a little bit, because just looking at LSU's schedule, I mean, a lot of like their tougher SEC opponents, I'm actually kind of feeling a little bit better about, because they're all going to be at home, like taking the Ole Miss Rebels at home. Alabama's going to be at home as well. I mean, how are you feeling about the schedule lining up for the LSU Tigers, and really how could you see them finishing in the SEC?
Yeah, that's the really interesting thing. You take a look at their 4 SEC road games, right, which is when you're at the beginning of a season, if you want to take the toughest games, pick your hardest conference road games. South Carolina, who's going to have probably a freshman quarterback playing, and you get them early, just the third game of the season, probably before Lenore Sellers is settled in. Arkansas on the road, we know it hasn't gone well for the Razorbacks in recent memory. A&M on the road, and look, they have a first-year head coach, although maybe they're kind of the trap game in here. And then it's Florida, who, Billy Napier might be coaching for his job at that point in the season, late in the year. So they don't have a ton of, big-time difficult road tests. It's not to say they're going to come through that unscathed, but yeah, at home, you're going to have to show up and play. You got Ole Miss, you got Bama, you even have Oklahoma the last game of the season as well. So at home, you have some better opponents, but yeah, that's where you want to play them. You get the choice. So schedule-wise, it's fairly favorable, especially if you get a head start on that USC non-conference game, which I think that's kind of been the buildup, is like, just get a quick start. Just get going out of the gate.
Yeah.
They've had 2 rough years starting the year against Florida State with losses both times. They're trying to get that win against USC in Vegas, and they feel like if they get that one, yeah, the schedule lays out pretty favorably.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I was actually going to bring up that USC game, because you're going to play in Las Vegas, and that'll definitely be an interesting sight to see for LSU. But you're going up against the team that's kind of looked at as one of those middle tier to top tier squads. Of course, as of late, I would say since Alabama destroyed them in week 1, like back in 2016 or something like that, USC just has not been the same. Kind of just talk about what you're looking at in that game and what you're kind of concerned about. Also, maybe, what's the intrigue about having that Las Vegas game to kind of start out the season?
Yeah, I'll say what's funny about the USC matchup, the more you look into it, USC and LSU are maybe a lot more similar than you would imagine at first. You take a look at the quarterback position. Okay, so who do you have for LSU? You have a veteran guy who stuck it out when a lot of guys probably would have transferred, waited behind a Heisman Trophy winner, and now gets his chance. Over at USC, you have Miller Moss, who's kind of the same deal. He sat behind Caleb Williams. He got a chance in the bowl game. He shined a little bit there, showed what he can do. Now he's taking over for a Heisman Trophy winner and trying to be the next man up. Defensively, all the question marks really for the team are on that side of the football. USC hasn't been able to stop anybody for several years now. We know that. LSU, as we just talked about, they rebuilt their entire defensive staff and a lot of their personnel because of how much they struggled. So these two teams are maybe more comparable than you think. I think LSU is a better team on paper, and I think USC has more question marks. I mean, they really defensively, there was games last year where Caleb Williams was putting up 400 or 500 yards of passing, and they were still losing by 2 scores. So they are worse off. But, look, Lincoln Riley's got a lot of pressure on him as well. I don't know if Brian Kelly's quite there. It's kind of interesting to compare these two teams, and both of them could really use a win to start off. And then, look, you get it in Vegas. How much is USC going to travel to Vegas fan base-wise? I don't know. I think it's going to be a pretty split crowd. Should be a fun atmosphere. It's a standalone game on a Sunday, so it'll be fun.
Definitely will be. And now we look over to the wide receiver core. Of course, the biggest questions: how are they going to replace the 2 studs that were picked up in the first round of the NFL draft? I know Kyron Lacy. I know what he can do. It's looking at the rest of the guys as well as some of the transfers that are coming in. I know one of them, CJ Daniels, coming in from Liberty. I mean, what is this wide receiver core going to look like this season? Are we going to have a big and a small? Are we going to have a bunch of small, speedy wide receivers? What's it kind of going to play out with this side?
Well, and you say what Kyron Lacy can do. Kyron Lacy's problem's always been consistency. We're here in Lafayette. I cover the Cajuns very closely, and Kyron Lacy was a really talented player, but still struggled with consistency. And Billy Napier, former head coach at Louisiana, would always talk about it in his pressers. Man, if Kyron really figures out the consistency, showing up every day with his best effort, he's going to be great. You hear Brian Kelly say a lot of the same stuff. Now, it's been better reports this offseason. You understand for him, it's kind of now or never, right? I mean, he's a senior. He's been around the block. It's his time to be the number one. But I do still think there's some questions. I love the pickup of CJ Daniels from Liberty. I think that's a guy who can step in and really, not have the pressure of being a number one, but give you a lot of production. And then look, Aaron Anderson, former Alabama transfer. He's 5'8", but he's one of the fastest players in the country. They didn't quite get him involved. And I know there's been some injury setbacks with him. So you're wondering what you can get from him. Chris Hilton, another kind of smaller receiver at 6 foot, but he's certainly got some experience and has a solid skill set. So, I think it's really a matter of who wants to step up and be the go-to guy in this offense. And yes, Lacy's the best candidate for it. But as I mentioned, he's never done it before. Yeah. So it would be new. If Lacy ends up being your leading target more than just 1 or 2 games, Lacy's always been good for 1 or 2 breakout games and then some clunkers. So can he step up and be consistently a leader in that room? If he does, I think they have a lot of really good role players in that room to help him out. And then also don't forget about the tight end position. Mason Taylor, of course, the son of great defensive lineman Jason Taylor. He's going to be a go-to guy as well. And he might, I don't know about lead the team in receiving, but he might be farther up there than you think.
Okay. That'll definitely be intriguing. And we were talking about Las Vegas earlier. Vegas puts 9.5 games for this LSU squad. Is that kind of what you're getting out of this team, or do you think that there's one game that we might be overlooking or underlooking that LSU is going to be able to take away?
Yeah, and again, I it's really interesting to look at the home and away stuff too. I just struggle to see where the loss is on the road outside of maybe A&M, and I do think Florida's got a chance to be better if some things go their way. But then if you can split those difficult home games out of Ole Miss, Bama, and Oklahoma, if you can take 2 of those 3, you are sitting there looking at a 10-win season being pretty likely. So I do think, again, the first one against USC is kind of the one to get them going. I do think they're a better team. We'll find out. But if you get that, then 10 wins is certainly not out of the question. I think that's a pretty good number. 9-10 wins feels like where this group's going to be. There are some questions defensively, though, and I guess that's where you could get into if this defense isn't better up front, which I really do have some concerns about the depth on the defensive line. And, we could get into that another time. I mean, there's a lot of issues there with the lack of experience in this system. But the point is, if they can stop the run at least somewhat better than they did a year ago, and that secondary has to be better because they brought in completely new personnel and completely new coaching staff, then 9-10 wins is right in the realm of possibility.
Definitely love to see it. More competition in the SEC is always good. And Blake Baker as the defensive coordinator, looking at what he was able to do with Mizzou, there's some games, of course, you're going up against Georgia, you're going to find yourself, losing some battles on that side of the ball. But at the end of the day, it kept it pretty consistent throughout and ended out with a pretty solid time. But kind of looking at some of these sleeper players, I would say, somebody that we might not be talking about enough of. Who is 1 or 2 of those guys that you kind of think of whenever we throw that at you?
Well, the name that's been buzzed about, and maybe it's just because I covered him in high school, Dominic McKinley's a 5-star defensive tackle that they brought in. Went to Acadiana High, just about 10 minutes from where I am right now. But my thing, and he's been buzzed about in camp, and there's been some talks that he might play some really, solid number of snaps, and maybe that's just a little bit of spring buzz and it's going to die down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a true freshman playing significant snaps at defensive tackle in the SEC.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's going to be ready to go. I know he played in a very competitive district in high school, but he's been talked about maybe a little bit more than I would want him to, if that makes sense. Jacobian Guillory is the guy who's experienced at the defensive tackle spot that you're going to be counting on. But the other name in the defense that I think is giving LSU fans some, kind of just solace and some comfort is Sage Ryan in the secondary. Is a guy who's been there, has done that. They've, had to replace basically all the corners. They've only got a couple of guys back. But if Sage Ryan can kind of pull it together for them and play that hybrid role and give them somebody in the back end who can get everybody into the right spots, then that might help them a lot. So I'd say on the defensive side, he's going to be critical to what they're able to do in 2024.
Dawson, it's been great to talk with you, man. Always nice talking SEC football. We got it right around the corner. Let the people know where they can find you on socials and online.
Yeah, so it's at Eiserloh Dawson on Twitter, and ESPN Southwest Louisiana. We have all our coverage there as well. So, it's fun to talk to you guys. I'm glad to do it, and we're getting closer, man. Season's right around the corner. What is it? Less than a month, right? So we got week 0, so it should be fun.
We got some wacky games playing a little bit earlier, but we'll get into that stuff a little bit later on, especially with the LSU talk. We'll make sure to get you back on as well. Dawson, it's been great having you, dude. Can't wait to talk with you again.
Yeah, have a good one.
We got his name right. Everybody, we got his name right. His last name. You know what? For the guest, it's always great. It's always great. Either way, we got to hop into a break. Great LSU talk from Dawson Eiserloh from ESPN Southwest Louisiana. Make sure you guys go and check out his work. When we get back, we're talking a little bit of preseason football, and I got to admit, I was looking forward to this game a little bit more 3 days ago whenever Caleb Williams said he was wanting to play this game. And then our hopes and dreams were slashed. Well, I mean, if you wanted to watch Caleb Williams in a preseason game, that's what's coming up when we get back here on the Morning Blitz.
The state's largest orthopedic group is growing to meet the needs of the patients in our community. The Orthopedic Center has long been the most trusted name in orthopedics in North Alabama. So as our area continues on the fast track, so does the need for premier orthopedic care anywhere and anytime you need it. TOC is proud to announce the opening of our new locations in Albertville and Hampton Cove, along with the grand opening of our newest office in Decatur. These clinics will offer the same high-quality orthopedic care you have come to associate with TOC, with the convenience of being closer to home. As a patient, your time is your most precious asset, and we recognize that at TOC. That's why we are also proud to announce the opening of our urgent ortho clinics to handle those bumps and bruises that need prompt attention. These clinics are available to care for acute orthopedic injuries with no appointment necessary. With 38 physicians, 20 centers of excellence, and now more than a dozen locations to serve you, TOC will continue to be the name you turn to for the best orthopedic care at the right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
Man, I appreciate what you guys do. I know credit got Drew, Talkin' Ball 7 until 9 on my show when I feature Drew, and certainly have a great relationship with Wes and Steve and Tom and all you guys, man. It's always fun to hang out with you with media days, different bowl events, but I always appreciate the partnership. I almost feel like we're sister stations with 97.7 The Zone, the only sports station in the Rockets, and thank you so much.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Lowery & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopé. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Lowery & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms are going to be possible across the Tennessee Valley through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. The big story, the fact that it's just going to be incredibly hot across the area. Air temperatures are going to climb into the mid-90s, but it is going to feel like it is anywhere between 105 and 109 degrees. We only drop into the mid and upper 70s as we head into the overnight. We're going to do this again as we head into your Thursday. A partly sunny sky, temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There's the phone and no one to answer.
256-576-4977.
And as a result, we got many, many phone calls and letters.
Give us a call on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline today. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in to the Morning Blitz, presented by the wonderful people over at Fleming Roofing and Restoration, the guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up. Well, we're not talking too much about the Olympics, I swear on that. But China is currently leading it with 8 gold medals, 16 medals altogether. Look at the United States. We got 27 medals altogether, but only 4 gold medals. And it makes sense that we have 27 of them because we have about 27,000 guys over there competing in this whole thing. So, I mean, there's a reason why America is always destroying. And it's not just because we have very talented athletes. It's also because we send over, I think, 200 extra people compared to the second most, which I think is Japan, that has like 400 and something. But still, USA, always bigger than the others. But let's hop into a little bit of football talk, of course, as we look forward to the preseason game in Canton, Ohio tomorrow to open up the NFL season. God be with us. It is back. And what we can look forward to is a pretty annoying looking matchup. If we want to hype up a game like this, we need to see all of the starters. We need to see the Texans with Nico Collins. We need to see Stephon Diggs. We need to see the one and only. We need to see the one and only CJ Stroud. Okay.
But we're probably not going to.
We're not going to see any of those guys. We're not going to see Will Anderson. We're not going to see any of the guys that we actually want to see. It is turning into yet another Thursday matchup. I mean, that's exactly what it is, isn't it? We look over on the Texans or the Bears side. I mean, heck, this is the Bears we were talking about last year. They could have started everybody and nobody would have wanted to see them. DJ Moore is not going to play.
He did just get some more money. I mean, he's got a good reason not to.
Big contract. He did get a humongous contract. 4 years. I don't even know. I don't have the stuff in front of me. But
$110 million.
Guaranteed?
Is that the guaranteed
money?
money?
I don't know. I thought he made a little bit more.
$82 million guaranteed.
Okay.
110 total.
Sheesh. Another one of the highest paid wide receivers now. Romo Dunze, not going to play. One of the only reasons I want to watch this team is Romo Dunze. Caleb Williams, painted fingernails and all? No, you're not going to see him either. So who do we get to see? Who are we going to watch tomorrow? As all of us are just like itching for football to be back. And no, we're not talking about the spring football. We loved it, but it's not the NFL. It's not college football. We're going to get to see Tyson Badgett. Woo! Started 4 games last year.
Yay.
Threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns. I think he was 2-2 on the season. Not bad for a rookie. He's not a rookie anymore. Now he's just, I don't want to say an afterthought because that's just kind of mean. On the other side, on the Texans side, who are we going to get to see? Davis Mills. Oh, wow. We're watching the Texans again, everybody. I mean, it's just, if you're going to hype up a game like the Hall of Fame game, Hall of Fame stands for the greatness, the athletes that really define this sport, and you're throwing backup quarterbacks at us, backup wide receivers, the entire second and third and fourth string, which is totally fine at the end of the day if we're looking at a normal preseason game because you want to make that 53-man roster. You want to see who's all going to be on that team. But at the end of the day, we're looking at a game that we're hyping up so much, at least the NFL is, just to finally watch it, and it's just another Thursday night football game.
See, I'm excited for the NFL to be back.
I know, Andy.
But it's just this game that does not have me excited to watch.
I'm talking for most of the fans right now.
But what I'm going to be looking forward to, though, because you know what's going to be coming up soon now that football's back, the Doghouse Fantasy League.
Woo!
I'm going to get mine.
You're going to get your
Eventually.
Eventually. Sorry, I just said the exact same thing you said. I don't care myself. I'm going to watch this football game. I'm going to love it. Even if we're going to see guys that I'll never hear of again, I'm going to love it. It's NFL football. And when it comes to Doghouse Fantasy League, boys, I got another ring on the way. And I don't know if I'm going to go for my third this year because I got to keep this thing competitive. But I could be the next Kirby Smart of this league. So maybe I'll pull in another Doghouse Fantasy ring. For me and the Bandiman, we're out of here. Catch us in 23 hours. Up next, Chuck Oliver and the Tom Abraham Show.
This summer, make it a Woody Anderson Ford. Make it 0% financing, make it no down payment, and make no payments for 90 days. Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's our Ford summer sales event, and I promise you, you can